ask Coach Mack if he would lead us in our prayer and pledge.
You will bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we just come to you on this beautiful, brisk fall afternoon, just to honor you and to praise you. Father, my request today would be with gifts and decorating of trees and homes and all the excitement of Christmas, that we do remember the real reason for it, and that's your Son, Jesus Christ. Father, I thank you for Mr. Bruce Harris and Mr. Ellis back from their illness, and as we begin to conduct the business of the Wayne County Board of Education, I just pray that we both, in our actions and our decisions that we make, that be pleasing to you, for we ask it all in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Wayne County mission statement. Our mission is to empower all students to reach their highest levels of achievement. Our vision is in partnership with the community. The Wayne County school system will be a progressive system where all students acquire the knowledge and skills to be productive, responsible, and successful citizens in a rapidly changing world. Our belief is that every person is worthy of respect. Every person has the right to learn and work in a safe, nurturing environment. Every child learns when actively involved in educational experiences that reflect the uniqueness of each child's abilities. Every child will be engaged and supported to become a lifelong learner and preparing for a rapidly changing world. Everyone learns best when they are engaged participants in their learning. Literacy is the foundation of education, and family, school, and community are responsible for the growth, development, and the success of its students.
Have a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McKinney?
Yes, ma'am.
Motion to approve the minutes from November the 10th.
So move.
Second.
Move the second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McKinney?
Yes, ma'am.
All participation.
We have none.
Okay. Resolutions and recognitions.
Did you want to make a call for any? We didn't have
Oh.
any sign up, but a call for the
Okay, yeah, we do
church
that.
input.
Our public participation, we added on here, public input for the superintendent search. And I'll probably add this again in January, just so that we can check this off on our check mark that we are allowing public input to be there. We also have our survey, which is online, and we need to continue to encourage people to participate in that. After we come back from the Christmas break, January 4th, our work will begin. So we're trying to make sure that we get all the public's input and get the surveys right now. So, you know, when we start the process, there won't be a lot of time for a lot of public input. So,
Awesome.
Anybody?
all right,
Have any?
Doc, we will move to our resolutions and recognitions.
All right, and at this time, I'm going to start the Burgess. He's going to come forward to share with you our Coach Fest Art contest winners. That we've done.
For each of the last 3 years, our students have had the opportunity to participate in a contest, an art contest called Coast Fest. Coast Fest is a much larger celebration than just art. It's sponsored by the Department of Natural Resources, Georgia DNR, and part of it is an art contest for students. And our students have participated every year. They are doing very, very well. Just to give you a little bit of background, and if you go to that next slide for me, the 2020 contest was a virtual contest, given the conditions of our pandemic and whatnot. The theme was our marvelous marshes, and students had to create original works that were that went along with that theme. The winners and honorable mentions got their art displayed over there on Gloucester Street at the Marshes of Glen Library back in October. We have several students that we'd like to recognize virtually. We didn't feel good about getting them, that many folks with families and all in a small space. So we did want to recognize them virtually. They are tuning in via Facebook Live. So our first student is Sailor Johnson. She is a first grader from Jessup Elementary School, and you can see her artwork there. She has a heron wading through the marsh, and she was honorable mention. So congratulations to Sarah. Next, we have Jace Manning, a second grader at Jessup Elementary School. She painted some shells on the beach, and she also earned honorable mention. Allison Aguilar is a fourth grader at Jessup Elementary School. She did a manta ray. I know that's a manta ray because I did research on it. If you were looking down on it, it would be a stingray because they stay on the bottom of the ocean floor. Manta rays get up near the surface, so we're looking up at that manta ray, so that's got to be a manta ray. She got honorable mention as well. Dakota Armstrong is a fourth grader. She also is a student at Jessup Elementary School. She got honorable mention for an alligator right there in the marsh. Congratulations to Dakota. Landon Akiki is a fifth grader at Jessup Elementary School, and he created a dolphin painting, and he was honorable mention. And our last student we recognize is Jay Toole, a fourth grader. I put him at the end rather than in grade level order because he was actually a third place winner. He was our highest placement this year. He also did a manta ray, so congratulations to Jay. And all the parents that are tuning in, thank you for the opportunity for us to work with your children. Thank you.
All right, next recognition is our family engagement recognition, and I don't want to steal the thunder, but I just, and I don't know if Nelda, Dr. Gordon is going to introduce, okay, Ms. Nelda, and Ms. Simmons is our family engagement liaison, really for the county. She's taking on that whole group. You know, we used to have one for a person for each school, but she kind of coordinates that family engagement piece for our school system. In our current situation, the state held a contest, and we know how important family engagement is just in best practices, but it also is a requirement for our federal programs and that sort of thing. But just can't say enough about what these ladies have accomplished, and I'll be quiet. Go ahead.
And what's on your screens is going to be a little bit different because I've scratched some stuff out of there. I'm sorry. But as Jay said, my name is Nelda Simmons, and I'm the Family Engagement Specialist for the Wayne County School System. And in November, Georgia Department of Education, which I'll call GDO, held a virtually unstoppable contest for family engagement programs for National Family Engagement Month. The Wayne County School System Family Engagement Program competed against other counties and schools across the state. Our family engagement team created and submitted a video to celebrate Wayne County's family engagement program, community, students, and our families. We owe our gratitude to teachers, communities, members, parents, and families, as everyone has had to adapt to the new normal that we've had to deal with during 2020. On November 19th, 2020, State Superintendent of Schools, Richard Woods, announced the winners for the 3 regions of Georgia, which were North Georgia, Middle Georgia, and South Georgia. Wayne County's family engagement video was announced as a region winner for South Georgia. We consider it a great privilege and honor to now be family engagement virtual family ambassadors for the state of Georgia. We are excited as we begin this new endeavor with Godot and collaborate with them to serve and encourage family engagement programs across the state of Georgia. This will be accomplished by showcasing Wayne County's family engagement program during a virtual meeting for the state of Georgia that is held in February. Georgia Family Engagement Specialist Dawn Scott stated that Wayne County is the one county that highlighted total collaboration with all of our stakeholders, from families to businesses and communities, teachers and students, and we even included our high school band and cheerleaders. According to Ms. Scott, Wayne County had them all dancing across the street, in the streets, with our Family Engagement Month video. In addition to me being a part of the collaboration team, I'm going to call the school facilitators, and they are at Arthur Williams Middle School, Sherry Widener. James Bacon is Ginger Sarksey Jessup Elementary is Erica Madry. Martha Puckett is Rebecca Bright. Smith Elementary is Jahan McClendon. Odom Elementary is Amber Johnson. Scriven Elementary is Buffy Murphy. Wayne County High School is Melinda Chancey. Now, our production crew, and this is the people that worked strictly on this contest, I have them with me tonight, and I appreciate all the hard work that they have helped to put into this, and they had to guide me on how to make Bitmojis and everything during the process. So, first we have Erica Madry. Y'all can come
Yeah,
up.
y'all come forward.
We have Jahan McClendon. Melinda Chancey. And we have a big thank you to Quavon Spriggs from the high school, because he came in at the last minute and was our technical guru, and he helped put in the final revisions to submit our videos to Georgia Department of Education. So on behalf of the Wayne County Family Engagement Program, we would like to share this award that we received from Georgia Department of Education to the family, to the Wayne County school system, to Wayne County Board Chairman Nick Ellis, and to Wayne County School Superintendent Dr. Jay Gritson.
Thank you very much. I'm in the case.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies. Doing a great job.
Track service.
Yes, with us tonight, we have Mr. Seth Roselle and Patrick Toole. Guys, want to go ahead and go to the podium. Patrick's with TQ Construction, Seth with Buckley and Associates. As you know, there's a bunch of sickness going around, and so Mr. Todd Wiggins and Tony, Tony also couldn't be here. Again, they got some things going on. Mr. Wiggins is available by phone if we have some questions that these two gentlemen can't answer, but they're gonna give us an update on our projects and then get into the track. We do have some questions. Hopefully we can answer tonight to move forward on the track program on the alternates that we've discussed. But gentlemen, introduce yourself and tell me your role and what you do, Jack.
I'm Patrick Toole with TQ, and I'm the estimator and one of the senior project managers. And we've been working directly with Buckley for a while now with the track. We got the Wayne County track, also working with them on the James Bacon Elementary School, trying to get that ready to go. We're also doing the Martha Puckett,
Martha Ross Smith, yeah.
She said Martha. She said Puckett while we were getting sidetracked. Got the entry to the school and the bus loop around back. Long story short, we are here to answer any questions, and we do have any technical questions with the track. We've got the track specialist, the track surfacing specialist on speed dial, so he couldn't be here tonight. So.
And I'm Seth Roselle, and I work with TQ as well, and working with Patrick and Dr. Brinson and Buckner and Associates on these projects. Like I said, like Patrick said, sports stuff couldn't be here, so we invested in one of these little mobile conference speakers not long ago. We had to get used to adapting to people not being able to be available when you expect them to. And this thing works great. Todd's been really helpful with answering our questions about the turf. That's an awesome project that we've been working on and nailing down the plans for a while now, and we're really excited to get rolling on it. I think everything's looking good on Martha Rawls' site. Our site contractor, J.W. Oliver, has been making a lot of progress. He's slowed down a little bit while they were in school, but he's on track to be finished before the end of the month. We met with Dr. Brinson last week and reviewed some of the drawings that were sent off for a check set to the state on the James Bacon renovations and additions, and that work's in good shape, waiting on some of those approvals and getting that back to get finalized, but we'll be excited and raring to go as soon as we can on that.
And just a comment, I met this morning with Mr. Simmons and Mr. Morris and Mr. Ellis from James E. Bacon to answer some of the questions that come out of that meeting we had last week, that they're waiting on us. Some of them were pretty simple questions to answer. Some of them, I had to get the input from those folks. Some of it, Jamie's actually having to go back and discuss with his leadership groups to kind of get some final questions. So I'll be circling back with all those answers to these guys and Buckley's folks as well. Hopefully at the beginning of maybe next week at the latest, to kind of keep things going. But we're close to getting, like I said, that check set's back there in the back if you want to look at it, kind of give you an idea where we are. But we're close to, getting Mr. Toole what he needs, when he can put pencil to paper. I just remind you, we are doing CM, so that GMP, that guaranteed maximum price, is kind of what we're waiting on from these guys, but they're waiting on us right now to kind of get these last little, things. Again, it's a big project. It's a new design. It's not it's not like Odom and Martha Rawls. We're able just to replicate the Jessica Elementary design and kind of go to work. It's been a challenge, especially everything else we have going on. But do you have questions for these gentlemen before we get to the track?
I do. The entry road for the school. I know we're supposed to be having it begin over by, I guess that's still Drennan Drive or whatever, but will it run parallel to Orange Street, or are we going to cut right through the middle of this property? And the reason why I'm asking is because if we cut right through the middle of the property and we come later on needing to use this property for something, it's it's split in half and it's a lot of wasted space.
I think the current check set that we went through the other day has the street parallel, and is this Orange Street over here?
That's Orange Street, yes.
Yeah, it parallels Orange Street.
Okay.
Alongside, so you've got a lot of vacant space.
We kept that in mind to try to protect that green space as much as we can. Okay.
Road flow parking, we, decided we ever wanted to build a new board office or something like that.
Right.
But it's running parallel and it's as close to Orange Street
That's
as
possible.
you get to
Yeah.
protect those trees, and you want a little buffer for the sidewalk and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yes, ma'am, that was part of it.
Let me ask you one on the track proposal. It was to Mr. Toole from Todd Wiggins. And the second service was Recordtan R13. It's not a R13, it's G13, right?
I think he referred to it as R13.
He does, but as I talked to the lady at the national sales manager, and she felt like it was a typo to have a Recordtan G13.
We can certainly get Todd Wiggins on the phone. He intended to be here, but things prohibited him from making the trip. But we can get him on the phone and he
Just
can
text
answer
him,
that.
I feel like it was just a typo, but before we start spending this money, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page.
And of course, there's 3 different systems proposed.
Right.
And of course, y'all have the liberty to pick whichever y'all choose is the best fit for y'all. The higher end is one that I think was the basis of design that Buckley and Associates during the discussion and the design determined that y'all actually wanted that system. The second most expensive is what they call a sandwich system. And that is one that he's really encouraged the use of that one because it has a lot of, has a longevity of life, and it's in a lot of different places. Carrollton High School has, they host a lot of state track meets there. They've had that system for 11 years. And he said it's held up really well. He said it's a little thin now and it's in need of a little bit of work now, but they have a lot of events on that track. So that would be, a lesser expensive. And then of course the bottom one, we would recommend, and he certainly did not recommend that one for what y'all had intended that you wanted initially. But we'll text him and ask him.
But in doing the research, there is no R13, so I think it's just a typo.
It could be.
Is it the same surface that Southeast Bullock has on their track? Do you know?
we talked about that, and we talked about what just recently went in down in, Liberty County also.
Mhm.
And he talked about the one at Southeast Bullock. They put the original one in back
Right.
years ago. And I think it was that high-end system, the one at the top,
Well, the Recordman is actually the highest price that we've got. The
Full
Spartan
pour.
VV is what, Liberty put in over there.
Number that's on that paper is the second one,
Right.
and the third option being the sandwich system like you talked
Right.
about. I can see his bubbles have been responding to my text.
Now, as the project manager, I take it that you're gonna make sure that we get the highest quality product for the best price.
absolutely.
Give us a little savings, because that's the reason why, we kind of pushed having a project manager to make sure not just that we have tiers of products, but if, we can get this Rickerton, however you say it, at a cheaper price, but the same product. That's what we're looking for.
And based off of our conversations with Todd, that they're both premium products. I mean, he said that it's hard to balance that line. One of the biggest differences for him that he pointed out to us is that
Mhm.
where there even the most minor inconsistency in the paving, or in the base course or in anything else, that sandwich system, it's basically it's perfection when it's done. And I think our responsibility either way to make sure that it's perfection when it's done, and we'll see to that. But that's definitely a perk to that. Were it to be however many years down the road and any work had to be done to it, and someone was to make it inadvertently damage the paving somehow that was under it, it's a much more complicated process to be able to try to patch that section, and that would impact the entire track surface, whereas
Right.
that sandwich system, you can,
Patch a small spot.
Right.
Okay.
What's our projected start date for construction of the James E. Bacon? What are we looking at as far as the start date?
Well, right now, the architect has sent the check set off to the state. So once the state, and I'm not sure what their timelines are right now with everything going on, in the country. So once the check set, and we're actually, let me back up. We're right now starting to do pricing and budgeting based on the check set. However, the state fire marshal in that office may make adjustments or changes. They'll be minor, I'm sure, if they do. And, but we can't physically start any construction until that check set has come back from the state. Normally, that process takes 60 to 90 days. Hopefully we'll still be in that same range. And then once y'all are ready, once that comes back and the school board is ready, we're ready to start anytime.
and that's another.
The track, the possibility for track season, what are we looking at on the timeline of that?
We, there again, I need to go back and look. Do y'all have a school calendar? When would y'all actually have to have it?
Probably what?
First strike meet usually runs around about,
March?
Wayne County runs around about March. If you look at the calendar, they run it in February. Yeah,
Yeah,
but around the 1st of March, probably somewhere up in there.
honestly, it does not look favorable to be able to have it at the beginning. Because we've got to get, we've got site work that has to be done. We've got some grading, some infrastructure that's got to go in. And concrete work with the header curb and all that, get the base and the paving, and then the track surfacing. And there's probably a cure time between the paving and the time the surfacing goes down. So I wouldn't dare promise anybody we won't have it by that day.
Think April?
Possibly
middle of April?
Maybe mid-April. And if we can improve on that, that's what we intend to do.
Right. I got you.
But those could be run at the same time, right?
Yes,
Just
sir.
have a totally
Oh,
different
yes,
crew.
Absolutely, that's right.
And I did get a response from Todd, and he said it's a Recretan M99 that is a 13 millimeter version, and he said they refer to it as just an R13, but so I guess it would be a.
But a national sales manager wasn't familiar with.
The G13 is a gel system, which is, he said, is different than what they told. Or I guess it was different than the basis of design, which is what he
Right.
provided us his quote off of. The gel system wasn't.
So you're saying the R13 is the same as the M99? Is that what you were saying?
That's what, yes, sir. He said it's a I said, I asked him the question, I basically just screenshotted him and sent him that same quote, and I said, should number 2 be the R13 or G13? And he replied to me that it is a Recretan M99 that is a 13 millimeter version.
Right.
We refer to it as R13. G13 is a gel system and more expensive. He said the Recretan M99 or R13 was the spec equivalent, which is he's saying is the same as the design that we were sent for pricing.
Couple of questions for you guys. The relative warranty to the two different price ranges that we're going to probably be considering, is the warranty comparable on both of those systems?
Yes, sir.
So one is not much better, for example, in the warranty phase of it,
And both of them have a 5-year warranty.
5 years?
Yeah.
And you, of course, the systems you typically get, even though the warranty may not be the 5 years, you get 10, 11, 12, 13 years. I mean, I think Southeast Bullock's just now redoing
And he
theirs.
says,
They got
yeah,
about
over 10
12,
years, yeah.
Yeah, 12, 13
Yeah.
years out of that probably.
You described earlier in your discussion there curbing. Can you describe what that curbing, will it be concrete?
Yes, sir. It's actually a concrete header curve that goes down, and the track surface actually flushes out with.
And is that on the inside and the outside of the track, the
Yes, sir.
curbing?
That's right.
We went and looked at Brad.
Yeah, it helps
It's
prevent grass from growing into the track, and
Yeah,
also,
if you don't have curbing.
Yeah, you know what I'm
the
talking
hedges
about.
don't get
there you go,
damaged.
yeah.
So, what about vehicles, vehicular traffic that maybe we have to do some work inside the confines of the track? Are we gonna be able to put a mat down or something and drive over the track surface to get?
That's something that we really would need to get input from the track, surface guy. But with that being said, yes, I'm sure a light duty, I mean, I would not recommend putting a dump truck or anything like that on it.
Well, things like lawnmowers,
Oh, yeah.
and
Right.
and stuff like golf carts.
Yes, that'd be fine, for sure.
Y'all
We
have
can-
the ability in the event that we, before the construction is, completed or you all have checked off, you all have the ability to negotiate with a vendor about seating.
Absolutely, yes. We have a lot of resources for that, bleachers and that type.
Right.
Yes,
Just putting that bug in here.
okay.
And I did. Started blowing me up when I started asking him a few questions. He started answering. It's funny, about the time I started just typing the question, he said, no vehicles. And he said you can't put a mat down to allow for mowing equipment, and golf carts are no problem. And just said Southeast Bullock was Southeast Bullock was actually the base mat. Or the BS system. That was actually that was actually the option 1.
I don't think.
But I
we're
think now
gonna
they've gone
do
with, I think now the new one, they went with the layer. Talked to the guy today.
Yeah, they just redid
Yeah, they just redid it and they layered it.
And They have a special crossing mat. He told me that will allow for some of those like smaller equipment that needs to travel across it, that they provide with that they'll leave, turn over to you guys. when
So
they're-
it's provided with.
Okay. So what's your projected start date? I may have missed it. You may have answered that for the track.
As soon as we get done with our project across town, I guess if,
Well, that was the hope, the site work is the first thing they have to do.
Right.
So it's hoping to keep, JW got the bid on that as well.
That's right.
So hopefully we can kind of keep him moving and come on, but they're waiting on us. These alternates that we're talking about, they're waiting on us. So as soon as we make those decisions,
And he
they have everything they need and y'all can pretty much keep going. So, is that correct?
Yeah, I think we're well on track to be getting any of these remaining decisions squared away.
Yeah,
Definitely before
my
the end of the year,
understanding
we're ready to
is,
go immediately.
right, my understanding is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, what I put to you as a board is, we just need to decide, obviously, on the track surface option is one decision, and then we need to decide on the lighting, two decisions, two alternates on the lighting. One was adding the lighting for that back field, and then either going with the 30-foot candles or the 50-foot candles.
I think the sandwich system will be good based on the research and everything and the advice from others. I think that'd be good for us, as well as it'll also allow us money for much needed equipment that they're gonna need out there as well. You'll be able to take that $30,000 in savings and
Yeah.
use it for, other things.
Well, you can take $33,039 off that maximum bid, because that's the bid that we approved at the last
Right.
meeting. And so anything that we're doing now is just reducing that top number.
Yeah, and it'll be, and 8%.
Yeah, and then so it'll be a little more than what I just said, so.
Why would we need 30-foot candles on on that field versus 50-foot candles?
The 50-foot candles or more, I agree.
Right.
I don't think you need 50-foot. I think that's better lighting.
I was gonna recommend 30-foot candles all required on a outfield in baseball. I mean, I can't see spending the difference.
Not on track.
I spoke with the architect just to ask, just
Yeah.
if he had any opinion on the matter. And he also told me that a lot of times 50 might be like a larger football field or like a high school stadium. He said, in his experience, that the 30 would suffice.
Yeah.
I don't think.
I agree with that. And that's another, not we're trying to cut anything, but I mean, that is $75,000 that we can put into just what you're talking about, seating.
Right.
We need to develop, the existing, little storage building we got now, we need to add to that. I mean,
Right.
We could put more bathrooms, maybe get a little bit of a concession stand and storage. When you're talking about traffic clearing, as you know, it's
Take a lot of storage.
yeah, pole vault mat and high jump mat, it takes up a lot of space. So, I mean, it needs something for there. That would give us plenty of funding right there. Yeah, plenty of fish to get all that done and not cut that at all. And I highly recommend on the other option, I highly recommend we light that back field. As I can tell you, those LED lights, and you remember when we did baseball field, they're just so focused on that area. We had to add lights to the baseball field because where the fans were is it's kind of dark. Because we're going to utilize that area. I can see that being utilized, especially at the beginning of soccer season, that back field. It gets dark early. I don't think they're finished. We got 4 soccer teams that need somewhere to practice, and that they would have some light.
Right.
And even football season, once the time changes,
They could
I
go
don't
to
know if
that
they
field
can
and,
finish, if they
right.
can come out and finish up, when it's just playoff time. Anyway, that's my recommendation.
Thought President, I just passed around, of course, when I looked up R13 and I talked to Jane Urry, who's the national sales manager, she felt like it was G13. I wrote up a little scenario for each of you, and we had 3 to bid on. The Spurton, and tell Mr. Wiggins, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Spurton BS, which is the lowest bid, is a permeable surface. The other 2 are impermeable. Well, permeable means porous. I just put some simple examples, planting beds, turf, gravel. Impermeable is asphalt, concrete, those type of things. So even though the Spartan BS is $126,000 cheaper, I just don't see that lasting with a permeable surface. And then looking at the other two, the thing that sells me, and I think y'all have touched on it, is the sandwich system. I've used this analogy, the carpet squares that we all went to, they weren't actually cheaper. I thought they were good because it was remnants and cheaper, but it was if you spilled paint, you didn't have to replace this whole room, you just tore up that section. Well, these sandwich system, the Spartan BV, let me just read this part. It's a sandwich system. This means it's a 2-layer system. Its surface layer is a fluid applied polyurethane top coat with a dense matrix of broadcast EPDM rubber granules. I know what rubber granules are, but I don't know what EPDM is. What this means is the top layer could be repaired without full depth replacement. And so that's kind of what I'm comparing it to. We went over to Bradwell and looked at that one yesterday, and ironically, that's what they've got is that Spartan BV. And my recommendation is going to be that we go with this Spartan BV. I just don't think we want to fool with the cheapest bid. And looking them up, like as Daniel said, they carry a 5-year warranty. All of them have 8 to 10 years under moderate use. So I just think that $33,000 we could save taxpayers, might be used on equipment or whatever. And then I wrote on there also about the foot candles that I don't see us putting 50 foot candles on that one. It's not even required on the baseball field. That's just my opinion.
Well,
I think that's very reasonable, Jay, what research you've done. It sounds reasonable to me.
Yep.
Let me ask the board this, and you gentlemen as well. Would there be any benefit if we AstroTurf the infield of our track? Obviously, we wouldn't have to get lawnmowers, stuff in there, wouldn't have to fertilize it, wouldn't have to water it. Would our track team be able to utilize that, Sharon, if we had a turf infield?
I think all of our field events are gonna be, they're not gonna be on the infield. So like your throwing events, the discus and your shot put, they're located outside of the infield or track area.
What about long jump, triple jump, and high jump? Would that be something that, and I'm
No,
just saying,
they
while
use-
we're in the decision-making
Right.
process, let's look at all the
Yeah.
variables and let's get the most bang for our buck. I mean, we waited 20 years for this thing.
For the long jump and the triple jump and high jump, they have the same surface as the track itself has. Those
Okay.
runways have the same surface. Yeah,
And all
but I
that-
understand exactly what you're saying.
That's correct.
Yeah.
What is the
I just feel
maintenance
like
on turf?
the area, you'd be almost doubling their cost.
Yeah, it costs a lot.
By the time you asphalted and turf
Yeah.
the infield.
Turf is very expensive.
Uh,
We could certainly get some pricing for y'all if that's something you want to look at. But like I
Well,
said, your other
just,
events have-
it may not make sense. I just thought I'd throw it out there while we're in the discussion phase. If our field events are gonna be, and I remember that now, they're gonna be on different parts of the site, there may not be any value in pursuing that.
Got a question about the fencing, and you probably can answer that for me. How tall is the fencing gonna be? Is it 6 feet,
I believe the fence around the track itself is 4 feet.
4 feet round it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
I don't recall on the perimeter of the site itself. I mean, I know there is some, but I didn't look at that.
I don't recall.
we think we can, get at least, get some 6 feet, fence. And the reason why I'm asking that, if you're gonna have a track meet and you're charging, the way our venue is set up, you won't have to pay a dime to come in to watch it. So it's gonna negate what the track team is trying to do as far as that would be a major fundraiser for their team. But if you have a 6-foot fence with maybe some slats in it, like you do at a baseball field or softball field, then they're gonna have to pay to come in. So that's the reason why I'm asking, about that aspect.
I can definitely follow up and verify. I want to say I'm quite confident that, I'm not like I put my foot in my mouth, but that sounds like a very reasonable thing that is typically incorporated into the
Right.
original design when it's that exterior fence. And
Mhm.
I recall confidently that it's a 4-foot fence right around the track.
Track, right.
But I want to say I'm very confident that it should be at least a 6-foot fence on that exterior perimeter that's going in, but we can definitely follow up and verify that with you guys. And it wouldn't be, either way, if it happened to be a 4-foot or a 5-foot, and we're looking at changing that, that would not be a significant.
It'll be a marginal cost difference.
Okay. Okay.
Doc, you need to take a motion on this, setting this, surface and candles. We need to put that in.
We're ready, yes, I mean, like I said, they're waiting on us,
Yeah.
we're ready.
I make a motion, we go with the Spurton BB, which is the middle of the road, if you will.
I second and tell them about the candles.
Also the candles on there.
30-foot
Same
candles. Tell them 30. Make a motion on the 30-foot candles too.
Or what?
The 30-foot candles, that we want those. The 30-foot candles, make a motion.
Oh, yeah.
So include that in the
Yeah,
motion.
30-foot candles, not 50.
And what about lighting the backfield? Is that
Yes.
yea or nay?
I would agree with that.
Not all-
Well, yeah, I agree with it. I'll tell you why I agree with it is because you may have track practice and soccer practice going on at the same time. And the soccer is just not gonna be able to practice in the middle of that field while track is practicing. So like you say, it may start, especially when they first start, you're not gonna have, the daylight like you normally have.
I'll second.
Got all this? All right.
You ready?
Got a motion and a second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else for these gentlemen?
Look forward to working with you.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys, appreciate you coming. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank y'all.
I'll send you an email. No, take it. All right. Thank you. God bless you. All right.
Board meeting dates?
Things died.
All right, yes, the board meeting dates, those are just corresponding dates, going with the second, and fourth Tuesday, those couple of months where we're only having one meeting, I think in, it's July and November, December, so we're ready to move on those dates. We're not meeting again. Well, good.
Make a motion, we accept these dates.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McDaniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Jay, just a point of clarification, I'd like to back up on that track project for just a minute. We talked about, we have settled on 30-foot candles, but is that going to be the modern LED
Yes,
type lighting that comes with, the guarantees and things?
yes, that was in the specs.
Okay.
And I'll confirm by email, but I'm about 99% sure they've already awarded the bid to Musco. So it's the same
Same
light.
color.
product we have on the baseball.
They say even if a bulb blows out, Musgrove comes and changes it. Right? I mean,
They-
That's
they-
actually maintenance free, the length of the warranty.
Just to keep in mind on those meeting dates, those are just your regular scheduled meetings. We'll have a lot more meetings in January, so y'all get ready for that. It'll be pretty much every week.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Next item is the wrestling hosting guidelines like we've done with the other indoor sports. Y'all have had them a while. The challenge now is enforcing those at our events. And, we're running some problems. I got a phone with the principal before for the meeting today, you know, well, I got this parent that's just not gonna wear a mask and blah, 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 so, you know. So we'll deal with that, but is there any other additions, concerns, questions on, the wrestling guidelines? You've had this for a while, now,
Who's not gonna wear
come back
masks?
to, ma'am,
Who's not gonna wear masks?
the parent.
They don't have to, they can stay at the house.
Well,
We can't make anybody do anything,
that's correct.
but we can control our facilities and keep our kids safe,
Yes,
as
ma'am.
well as those who are around. It's a choice.
Need a motion for this?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion, we accept the guidelines for wrestling.
I second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris,
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Haynes,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McPherson.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and just a quick COVID-19 update, you know, we want to keep this as a running item on the agenda. You know, you got the report from last week that was in line from weeks before, so in this week so far, we have one employee who's tested positive and one student so far this week, which is in line with what we had in the weeks past. That's about normal for us. Now, our county is numbers are up. You know, they had we did have a little spike, really the week of Thanksgiving, that we were up for as numbers for a couple of days, you know, due to a concentrated area. But our overall numbers, as far as average, we usually average maybe 4 or 5 cases a day in the county, and that's up. That's been up. It's coming back down now, so we're kind of watching it closely to see if we're going to have any, you know, big numbers due to Thanksgiving. Haven't really seen those yet, but it has ticked up. So, you know, by the numbers, we feel like that's probably going to filter into the school system. But we're doing so good this week, knock on wood, for Monday and Tuesday of this week. But we're maintaining where we are. Any questions about numbers? And I got a couple of updates about a couple of other things.
So on a given day,
Yes, sir.
how many teachers are out not necessarily it's a new case, but just like maybe today, how many teachers was out do you know, as far as like a particular school, the principal's got to deal with so many teachers being out and getting subs?
I would say at like the Jessup elementary schools and the middle schools, they would average probably 10 to 15 teachers out a day. Some of that's due to sickness, some of that's due to just something else. Some of it's due to
Quarantine.
isolating, you know, because their spouse is getting tested.
Yeah.
You know, or some situation that they may be able to come back the next day. And so we're trying hard not to call it quarantine, because it's not a quarantine because of direct contact or testing positive, but they may isolate for a day or two until we get more, and then they're able to come back. But that is effective. The quarantining or isolating, that's a factor in a lot of teachers being out, which is concerning. We're trying to coach them up on kind of how to manage things, because I'm worried about them taking that leave.
Yeah.
That COVID leave is only 2 weeks. It's only 10 days worth of leave. It's only 80 hours. Yeah, 80 hours. So once that's gone, they have to take their own leave or to be leave without pay.
Yeah.
There's nothing else we can do with that. They have to use their own sick leave. When we have some they're out of sick leave, there's nothing else we can do. So, you know,
Puts a load on the
sometimes,
principal though, doesn't it?
they have to be careful. We're trying to make them knowledgeable about testing. You know, a negative test doesn't automatically send you back. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't send you back to work. I got a negative test. Now, say that. The next, the other item I wanted to bring up, there is some new guidance to the CDC and
I'll ask you about
the
that.
Department of Health just adopted that as well. You know, going from the 14-day quarantine to possibly a 7 or a 10-day quarantine. There's a meeting, and they've adopted it. Now you get to roll it out. There's a big meeting with our Department of Health and all our school districts around it with our health officials on Friday morning. So, right now, we don't have enough information to really change what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay? Now certainly before we make, there's not gonna be any big changes before I bring something for you to approve, where we're changing what we're doing with our guidelines, we gotta get our head around it a little bit where I can speak knowledgeably about it. I'm not a real big fan about changing anything, to be honest.
Yeah.
We fared pretty good these first, 14, 15 weeks of school. But if we can get people back to work, and again, it's not a student, it hasn't been a student problem, so far, enough, and it's been more staff.
Yeah.
And that is a problem when you
Trying to
we
find
don't- we
subs.
can't have enough, we're not getting enough subs. Our fill rate's been down, with ESS, the company we're using, they're usually 99% filled. That's not the case. They're down because they can't find them. They don't have enough of them.
Yeah.
There's so many people being out. So that's one thing I'll report back to you more. I'm not really hopeful we're gonna change anything before the Christmas break. I mean,
I'm hoping we can make it through the break.
But those CDC guidelines, they're talking about, the 7 days. Does that include like, 7 days
well,
along with testing
Negative
and,
test.
and negative tests
yeah,
and no symptoms?
that's correct. But the thing is, they don't want you to get tested until after 5 days to make sure. You follow what I'm
Right.
saying, where you don't get a false, negative.
Right.
So you only got that window in there, and that's not really benefiting you a whole lot to try to get to that 7. It could work out, especially with weekends, or some kind of break. So it would give us a little bit more latitude. And I don't think we have to change our guidelines a whole lot. There's some of it was didn't make sense. So I got some questions. Me and Carla both have some questions. So we're both kind of hesitant to even jump out there right now. Again, don't care about being guinea pigs on
Right.
trying something new. What's working, what we're doing now is working. I'm hesitant about trying to fix it.
So we can make it through Christmas.
Correct. We can get a couple more through this week.
They're taking EOCs this, next week, aren't they?
No, remember, we're not finishing up the semester till we come back in January.
Oh, that's right, that's
Yeah.
right, that's right.
So we'll be finishing up, the semester ends right before Martin Luther King long weekend.
Okay.
The other thing I wanted to mention, and you're hearing a lot about the vaccine rollout, got some more information right before the meeting, actually, from our Gale representative that's he's at the table with our Superintendent Association, the governor's office, Dr. Toomey, and the governor. Anyway, long story short, the rollout of the vaccine, we don't need to look for, and I'll remind you, we're not considered critical care workers as far as our employees. So that puts us down on the list. They're gonna roll out the vaccines to basically nursing homes and frontline workers, and they're not gonna have enough vaccines for them initially. So the information I got today, we're looking as far as the general public, which our people really are the general public when it comes down to it, possibly into the summer before they really start doing mass issuing of the vaccines is the word we got today, to be realistic about it. Just so you know too, and I've talked, Jar already educated me up on how that's managed. Those vaccines have to be stored at subarctic temperatures, like 90 below zero or something like that. It's just something. And so a regular freezer, you have to have a specialized freezer to do that. We don't have those around here. There have been arrangements made in a nearby place that does have them that we'll be able to access as far as our county. So we're working on those plans, the city leader meeting, they're already talking, hashing that out. But that's just, vaccines are not rolling out just next month for the masses. So just want to make you aware of that. Questions about COVID-19?
I just want to commend all of our school personnel, students.
Been loaded.
I was watching the news last night where the studies are showing virtual learning is a disadvantage, especially the disadvantaged kids. So I commend all of our people for the efforts they've done keeping our schools open.
Yes, sir. They're working extremely hard. Those teachers are doing some fantastic stuff, and it's just, on top of the job that they do, it's so stressful to add stuff to it. They've answered the call, can't say enough about their job. Okay, yeah,
Cops grant.
you wanna go first? You want me to go first?
You can go first, because I just want to close.
Okay, all right, this information I'm sending around to you, this is the COPS grant information that I've, mentioned to you before, that we're pursuing, and just to remind you, this is a, $500,000 grant of free money, from a federal entity. We're starting the process. What I've passed around to you, that is the results of our system-wide assessment. We developed a team, had our consultant come in, and he got with our couple of team members, and they went around to each school site and did assessments overall. He took notes and so on and so forth. And so that's just part of it. That's something that will be folded into actually the grant that we'll submit later on. That's just kind of the first steps. All right, this grant is for infrastructure needs. We've talked about, our safety efforts. At the high school, we had some money allocated for doors. The doors there are, as far as having access controls, we've done some work there. The doors are a big cost. In this grant, we have to match 25%. So we're committing for this grant $125,000. In turn, we're getting $500,000 free dollars. So we have $625,000 for really to address anything we need to do. What's coming to the forefront is at the high school especially is that access control of the doors. Like they just wore out, 20 years old, they don't match. We're looking at some of the doors that we could put in and later come on with a badge system that they swipe and come in that way. We just have so much traffic with work-based learning, kids going to Coastal Pines, every block. We got mass exodus and folks coming in. Even though we've slowed that down, the sheer infrastructure of those doors and entrances are really all the way around the building, just need some work. And so this is a way to spend a lot of free money. So we're working on the process. We have to be awarded this grant. But that's also something we can use. We can use that money to also shore up camera systems. And you see all the different areas that are there. What also comes along with this is some training, best practices, really on nationwide as far as, we do our active shooter drills. So a reunification type thing. If you had an event at a school, right now we're have a reunification site for all our schools is the JC Stadium. And so they'll come in and kind of help walk us through and bolster that up. We can train our folks. When something goes down, we'll be better prepared. That's just one example. But I just wanted to give that to have you a hard copy to kind of sift through it and ask questions as we continue to kind of work through submitting the grant. Again, hopefully the grant, we're looking to get that grant submitted here the next couple of months for the deadline. This is the same umbrella as the COPS grant that Mr. Ellis headed up last year for us. That one deals with personnel. This one deals with infrastructure only. So, any questions on that?
I will just add to that, the one that deals with personnel is coming back open in January. I do know that Sheriff-elect Mosley has talked about wanting to partner and do some things with the school board and the city. So I hope that we are going to still be in support of doing that, being that we were not awarded that last year. As I've talked to the people at the COPS and the governor, there's still a push for making sure that school districts get resources for resource officers. And I know some people are saying we need to get the police out of schools, but I just don't think that's something that I want to see happen, and we need it. I mean, it's not about, to me, intimidating kids. It's about the safety. And so I hope that we can support that coming up in January and meeting with the new administration and trying to work towards that with the sheriff's office and the city.
And if I'm not mistaken, this is year 3 of our agreement with the city. So that's up for whatever, just revisit. I don't know about renegotiation, but that's up for for discussion this spring going into next fiscal year. So that'll be something we'll need to look into as well.
Well, I don't have a problem with police presence in schools. I welcome it. I feel as though that it's a deterrent for those who may be trying to come in and harm one of our kids or something. So, you got somebody there. Yeah, you only have one officer, but they've got that ability to summon quickly for help and backup.
I'll just say that, for Officer Katie, he's done a good job getting out ahead of issues and things, and he stays on the phone with our detectives, Dr. McDaniel. If there's something going on, we're all on the phone the night before, and we got a plan in place before the next morning even walk around. Even if we have to get people to come in early, he keeps us up to date with what's going on. And parents even contact him directly on his cell about issues. And so he's doing a good job. He's building the relationships with the kids. It's real positive. I mean, when I go by the school, the kids are really engaged with him. He's engaged with them. He participates with our sporting events. And so, I think it's been a plus for us. And the situations that we have had, we've kind of solved them and got ahead of them.
Great.
Strategic plan.
Our strategic plan, I just want to open this up for discussion.
I kind of like Ms. Denny to expound on some of the things that Advance said and suggested that, we make amendments on, as we move forward. Also, can you explain for me a little bit about system-wide goals and how we need to look at those type of goals to mirror, our strategic plan, or our strategic plan to mirror our goals?
I would say that Dr. Gordon has done a tremendous job of leading us through the state's comprehensive needs assessment process. We call that our CNA process. And even though we had done parts of it for many years, I just feel like in the last 3 years, it's really been pulled together, and that's all been under Dr. Gordon's leadership. I feel like we have a really good communication now between the school level and the district level. A lot of times when you're talking about big plans like this, people talk about top down or bottom up, and I feel like we're at a place, you correct me if I'm wrong, Bonnie, I feel like we're at a place where we're both. The overarching goals of the school district are being honored by the schools, by the individual school settings, but also at the district level, we're looking at the individual needs of the school. And like one real specific example of that this year, for the past couple of years, the district chose some priority initiatives. Now, we did that with the voice of lots of school folks, but it was that, okay, the district then decided on these priority expectations. And this year, we asked that each leadership team at each school take a look at a list of priority expectations that the district had set, but figure out what was going to be best for their particular school, what their particular school needed to focus on. And it might be that they're going to focus on something for a couple of months and then move to something different. But their leadership team and those teachers on those teams have a lot of opportunity to really have a lot of voice in what is happening at their particular school. And that's empowering to a classroom teacher or to a counselor to be able to have that kind of voice in deciding where their school needs to go. And so I think that that plan has been great for really helping us all to get on the same page and stay focused. I think that a strategic plan is a little bit bigger than that. There are probably some parts that we don't touch on in the CNA that are normally touched on in a larger strategic plan. But I would say that, and I've worked in Wayne County for 24 years, I would say that We're in a better situation with that district improvement plan and all of our school improvement plans than we've ever been in, before. I would have to go back and look at all of the recommendations from the latest SACS visit. I know that when we had our 2009 strategic plan, and I know that sounds like a lifetime ago, we worked really hard on the mission, vision, and goals that are our current mission, vision, and goals. I think that, and I don't remember the exact wording from SACS, but I do think that SACS said that we should probably revisit those. We did revisit them in 2015, but the group of stakeholders, we were in this room, the group of stakeholders that we had I think it was 2015, they still felt like the mission, vision, and goals reflected who we were. And so, it's been 5 years since we've visited that, and I believe that that was maybe the recommendation for SACS, that just we make sure that we revisit those big picture things, every 5 years or so, which is usually about the lifespan of the strategic.
Well, I guess I asked about, and that's one of the things I was concerned about, was that they did tell us that we needed to revamp our mission statement, and one of the things was about measuring, how are we going to measure what our goals are, and, be a little more specific, if I'm not mistaken, is what it was saying.
Our goals in our CNA plan are very specific with measurement, and that's probably been.
Yeah, that'll make a little more sense too. We've talked to directors, we may come to the board in January to start that discussion, kind of show you that whole process of what we're doing. And I think that'll be a good jumping off point into the strategic plan, because it does have other big pieces, like the vision and mission, that sort of thing that we definitely need to revisit, especially in some of these changes that's gone on in public education in the last, 8 months, 9 months. They've changed forever, in my opinion, I think. And also, even facilities, you need to fold that into the strategic plan, and it needs to mirror what's going on with what we're doing, So that's a whole nother piece that doesn't get discussed with us, but that's going to be critical going forward in the next 3 to 5 years, because you'll have another eSPLOST, and if we'll do a good job with that, there is no question what are you spending eSPLOST money on when it comes campaigning time. We need to address our athletics and our plans for the long term. We need to address our
Technology.
any kind of school
Right.
needs that we're gonna have. You're always gonna have needs. We're done building schools.
So are they asking, like, for instance, okay, we're at 93% graduation rate, okay, which is pretty good. So, the ideal would be 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's not quite completely realistic. So are they asking more or less like to say each year we like to see a 1% growth, or what is?
I think,
Whether it's high school or whatever, you know what I'm saying, proficiency and whatever.
well, I guess a few weeks ago, we presented the reimagining project from the DOE. And, one of the goals in that reimagining project is that all of that stuff behind you, all of that CCRPI stuff, it's based on indicators that are true for every district in Georgia, no matter how similar or different you are. And one of the goals of the reimagining project is that a school system's accountability would be tailored to fit the needs, the culture, the climate of that school system. And so I agree with Dr. Brinson, whatever has caused all the changes, whether it's COVID or just a lot of things that have happened in the past year, have started that pendulum swing that we see in education. And I don't believe that it's going to be the same. But I'll say in our CNA process, we're very goal driven. But those are goals that we, as leadership teams, as a district team, have come up with. And we, at our directors meetings, we have what we call our DIP summary. That's our district improvement plan summary. And we try to focus on one of our goals every month or so and say, okay, where are we on our action steps? Where are we in meeting this goal? Because most of the time our goals are big and pretty far-reaching and require us to have some sort of state testing data as evidence of our growth. And so if we monitor our action steps along the way, that's a way to progress monitor where we are to get to that ultimate end goal. And I think we're doing a much better job of that than we did 10 years ago. And so we've really grown in that area.
And there's changes are coming, like Ms. Denny said. I mean, there's the accountability system, CCRPI is fixing to change again, I'm just, in my opinion. All of that's changing, so the timing is working out pretty good for us to get deep into it and really revisit everything and get it going. It really is. So, but I think you got to keep your eyes on, you know, the general session is to start to see where they're headed, and you kind of get an idea, because they're going to give you these targets. You know, that's not going away. That they're expecting to do. There's going to be accountability, and you have to meet those targets. We don't want to get back on any list, those types of things. And so we just need to fold in what we're doing to make sure we hit those targets, and then tailoring it to Wayne County student and community and needs. So
I have one more thing I need Amy to do for me, please. Can you let everybody know what CNA stands for?
Oh, comprehensive needs assessment. Really the DOE, to me, it's a great plan because it's a cycle, and in the middle of the cycle, and it stares you in the face, is the whole child. And so every time we're talking about this and we see the little icon, you know, it really reminds us what our mission is. And our mission is to come to work every day and make sure that we're concentrating on the needs of the whole child. And so it's the comprehensive needs assessment.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Benson.
yes, ma'am. Okay. All right, this time Mr. Aldridge has, I think, the August and September financial report ready for us.
I wanted to get two months for y'all this one. Obviously, we need to try to get caught back up. But as I told in July and August are a little bit deceiving as far as the financials go. The reason for that is because of all the accruals that we actually do at June 30th for the year end. It really alters some of the numbers in July and August. You'll start seeing a more truer picture come September, October. And so I wanted to, because I knew August was coming, and I said, well, if I do this one, they're gonna be like, man, what? We're getting far out there. And then when you see September and we get back the other direction, you're like, okay, now I understand the budget cuts and everything else. That's why we wanted to go ahead and try to get them combined. On the August report, they're on page 1. The August bank balance was $1,858,885.11. Excuse me. And the savings account still had $10,188,279.72 in it. The fund balance at this time, from page 2, is up to $16,815,049.89. A lot of that's being driven by, over on page 3, your current month's revenue was $3,006,008.58, with the year-to-date revenue being $5,740,701.64. On pages 4 through 9, you will see the expenditures that we have had going on in August. Your current month expenditures, $1,597,595.90, with the year-to-date at $2,709,533.41. The reason that number would obviously look a little low, and it's a whole lot less than the revenue, is the vast majority of our expenditures, which we know when we're budgeting, is payroll, salaries. A lot of those July and August salaries are actually pulled back into the June 30th financials. That's the way the state wants those done. So that's why the expenditures for the month were only $1.5 million. You know, actual payroll for that month was probably $2.5 million by itself. It was pulled back, so you're not seeing that number. So that's why that number looks deceiving. That's why I wanted y'all to understand
July and August is gonna smell like roses, but it will work itself out and we'll really start to get a true picture of what's going on. On pages 10 and 11, I wanted to draw your attention to the first one there. Actually, I think it's on page 10. That monthly sales tax for August was $347,686.54. That is something that me and Dr. Brinson are tracking monthly. I think it's the second or the third day of every month I give him the amount. Rule of thumb is we want that number to be 300,000 plus. That's a good number,
So we
good
did-
rule
that
of
was
thumb
good.
for sales tax, yes. Obviously, that money is the money that's being collected on sales in our county, and that money is what we use to pay on the bonds. And then once they're paid off, any excess that's still left there will be used for more capital projects. So 300,000 is a good rule of thumb. We've been doing good. We have been above that number every month since I've been here. And so that's one of the reasons we like to draw attention to that particular number. Pages 12 and 13. This is your federal funds reports. These are on a reimbursable basis. So obviously those numbers are negative. We spent some money in there. A lot of some of the numbers that are in there is salary. So they actually would be a little higher normally than they are. But in these couple of months, salary is not showing up for the same reason it's not showing up in the other account. The other part of that is we hadn't started drawing that money back from the state. We spend it and we have to request the money back, but we have to wait on those budgets to be approved. So with this being August, those budgets were just being completely finalized. They were being sent to the state. Once we get an approval for the finalized budget on their end, we're able to turn around and start drawing on that money. So you'll start seeing that money. That money's going to start flowing in the September, October, November, and then it will start flowing pretty much every month after that. But they will always be negative because we always got to spend before we can get. I can promise you if that number ever shows up positive on those pages, we will have some problems. Because, I mean, we got the money before we spend it. I promise you there will be an issue. On page 14, this is the school food service. For the month of August, they had a year-to-date net income. For the month of August, the income was $10,068.92. And their year-to-date net income so far for the first 2 months is $655,453.34. And then over on page 15, it gives you a lot more detail of their actual expenditures for the month of August. That sums up the month of August's financials. Are there any questions about that report before we go to September's? All right, Mr. Yvette, if you'll bring up that September one. All right, September bank balance was $1,559,387.41. The savings account is now $9,439,212.03. If you can remember, we just went over August. That savings account is down. That September was the first month that we had to move money from the savings account into the normal operating account. That's what that account's for. That's the reason why we put that money there and have it sit there to draw interest, to which the point comes we have to start using it.
So we drew over $1 million, right?
Do I now?
We drew over $1 million out of that.
No, I believe it was, no, it was only about 750,000, I think.
You're right.
Yeah, I believe it was about 750,000 that I moved that particular month. And so, but we're in good shape. I actually, because I'm still being new at this job, I actually have been watching this account in relation to previous years, sort of trying to do a comparison so I get an idea, are we on a kind of similar pace? And we were, so I did feel good about that as far as what we were drawing and what months we were drawing it out of. On page 2, the fund balance is now $12,251,301.54. As you can see, that is a drastic change from what it was in August. So that nice big lovely profit we just had is now turned around into a loss. So I knew this was going to happen. We were going to have this transition. Actually, October will actually completely pretty well balance this back out. But this had to happen. It's the way the state loves to have our financials done. With all those accruals and everything getting pulled over, it drastically messes up the first couple months' numbers. But we're on track. We're in very good shape. And
for another comparison, I actually pulled the September report from the prior year, and that number was fairly similar. Because I was concerned too when I saw how much the number changed. So the actual fund balance for the given year worked itself out about the same in both years. On page 3 of the financials, now this page is going to look strange, and I'm going to give you the actual number. I know if you look in that current balance column all the way down at the bottom, the number on your page is going to be negative. The reason for that is if you'll look up, there's only one number that shows up negative, I think, in that entire report, and that's where you see that QBE formula earnings, that negative $2 million. We have to make a big accrual on June the 30th, and it is actually 2 months worth of the QBE money that the school system gets. It's July's and August's amount. So when I did the reversal in September, this is what happens. So come October, I promise that number will not look weird anymore. It will look normal going forward. But when you make a journal entry in the month that's double what the actual QBE money you got that month, you're going to get a very strange number in this month of September. We will be past that now, I promise, but I did want to draw attention to it. So the actual revenue for the month of everything else, the money we did get, was $2,766,310.86. That's all because of a journal entry and why that looks negative. It's just that reversal. So the year-to-date revenue now for the first 3 months is $5,242,448.45. Over on pages 4 through 9, you will see the expenditures. Here's your illustration right here. Your current month expenditures was $4,161,091.49. The ones I just did for August was like 1.5 million. So now you can see payroll's all back in there. And September's probably a big month in my estimation when I started looking at this. Your startup. You know, you think, okay, well, wait a minute, we started school in August, but we charged a lot of things. A lot of the actual payments and stuff got made probably in the 1st of September. A lot of the stuff we were buying, and, you know, we were buying stuff in August to get school up and running, but we didn't pay for it until September. So that's why you're seeing a lot of that. So those monthly expenditures of $4 million is probably a little bit on the high side. They're normally around 3 to 3.5 million, probably. That's a normal month for us. So that's why I said it is a little high. So that's why we've got a lot of things working here against ourselves. But we are in good shape, I feel like, based on what I've seen in prior years and where we are now. Over on pages 10 and 11, I'm going to bring the attention to the sales tax again. And we've already actually talked about this number in a previous couple of meetings ago about this really large sales tax amount. If you'll look there on that page 10, you'll see it's $884,000, $177.98. That's because there was that audit going on and somebody got found that there was a bunch of back sales tax that was due, and a big payment all got made in that month. That's when we received that money in September. So with your $300,000 rule of thumb, we got $500,000 more than we normally do.
They didn't break it out for us.
There was no breakout, it just-
I think you asked that question. They didn't break it out for us like that. So
No.
They sent.
They just sent us the
They
whole
just sent it
amount.
to you.
Listen, because I didn't even, we didn't know what had happened. When I came in there and said something, we got concerned that maybe they deposited in the wrong account. Because we had not received the correspondence. There was no correspondence, there was no nothing.
Right.
We didn't know. And so when you see something that's a lot more than.
A $500,000.
You are very concerned. Of course,
Yeah.
we started researching, and that's when we found out what was going on, and we realized we were good, that there was a reason why we got a lot more money.
So you
than we
did keep
normally do. So, all right, over on pages 12 and 13, we're back to the federal funds again. And they will be negative. Now, if you'll notice how much larger those negative numbers are now on those pages. We finally got those budgets, so we've spent that much money. Payroll's now finally in there. Those numbers are coming up, but we're not in the month of September, but in October, November, we started drawing that money back. So those negative numbers will actually start working their way back towards zero as we're requesting the state for those funds. Because we've spent it, those numbers will get back more in line like they're supposed to. Page 14, we're over on the school food service. In the month of September, they had a profit for the month of $105,578.22.
And they are year-to-date, $761.56, excuse me. I know that they've got some great things planned, talking to the school food service. I think some things that y'all are going to be really happy about in the next little bit of some things that are going on in some of the different lunchrooms. And so there's going to be some good use for some of that money that they have been they have been generating over there. Over on page 15, you will see the details. I know that page 14, you don't get a lot of numbers. This is a lot more, gives you a lot more detail, kind of where they've been spending their money in the month of September. Are there any questions? Anybody got anything they want to ask?
Get a motion for approval of the August and September financials.
So moved.
Move to second.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McFetrich?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, the last item we have is our annual budget calendar that we need for approval. Just notice, with everything going on with my transition and also the general session, the legislators, they got a lot on their plate. With the pandemic, we already had those cuts. And so what we've done is adjust the calendar and pushed it back somewhere. You're really not getting a final budget probably until the end of July, maybe in the 1st of August, but that gives you, and that's okay, and I'll explain that in a minute. That gives you time to let the session get over with, know what you're dealing with, see if they're going to restore any of these austerity cuts. That's that $5 million that we were, pulled out of QBE, basically, which affects a lot of other accounts as well, federal programs and all of that. Another thing we have is also our enrollment. We know our enrollment's down. We have students scattered everywhere, so we're trying to, I think you're going to need that time to see what enrollment looks like, because you certainly don't want to have classrooms below the minimum funding size and end up leaking money that way on top of, austerity cuts from the state. So that's what I have before you. The one caveat I'll put in there is, because we've never done it this way, it's a very simple process, but if you're not going to have your budget ready by June 30th, you have to do what's called a spending resolution.
Mhm.
Right term? Yes. Spending resolution, and it's just simply saying just that. Basically, we're postponing our budget, we get more information and we finalize it, and you take action on it as a board. Now, it's a very simple, we'll write it out and y'all adopt it, vote on it, and have to pass it to do that. But I just think it's not wise to try to jam a budget in there and then have RJ, with all those factors he just described in those months. It's very difficult when you don't have a pretty accurate budget to begin with. So that's my recommendation. And so we've adjusted those dates accordingly. Basically, just everything's been pushed back about a month. We generally get our budget approved during that June, the month of June. Now you get it done in the month of July. And so that's what's before you. What's your pleasure?
I'll make a motion that we accept your budget development calendar.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McFetrich?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, we're moving to executive session to discuss or deliberate upon the appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation of regular public officer or the interview applicants for the position of superintendent. Motion for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Move to second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, Ms. Lee.
Mr. Harris?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels?
Yes.
Mr. McFetrich?
Yes, ma'am.
It is.
Have to move around and get it going again.
This meeting's always a little over.
And I want you
She deserves it. She's put in a lot of years. When I first met Miss Renee, I was in the 9th grade, and coming up through high school, and then having the opportunity when I was, doing the school resource stuff and working with her then, and as a board member, it's been a fun experience. She's passionate about this school system. She loves the school system, and we just wish her well in her retirement.
I do.
Yep, just want to thank the board. I got notification today that, we were recognized as a quality board by the Georgia School Board Association, so that press release will be going out sometime tomorrow. We'll try to get it in paper, but I just got it through email, and y'all are a quality board. Been a tough year. 2020 has been tough, but I think we've done a good job, and that it all starts with you as a board. So looking forward to 2021. Let's put this one in the books, and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
We'll go back next.
Bruce, keep getting better, brother. Oh, man, every time.
You know what I told one time, Bruce?
Love you, brother.
Good Lord don't want